Hey there, welcome to your weekly astrology forecast. So this week we're talking about the first quarter moon in Scorpio, and we'll also speak about Venus square Neptune, and we will talk about the Sun square Uranus and some other things involving Mercury as well. Mercury is making quite a few aspects this week. So let's get right into it. I am recording this live on Instagram. Oops, hang on, sorry. So clearly, no editing. All right, so we start the week with actually the first quarter moon in Scorpio. So this is happening on Monday, and we have the sun in Leo. Moon in Scorpio means it is first quarter moon in Scorpio. So the first quarter moon is a time of what's called crisis in action. That was what Dane Rudyard called it. And the first quarter is a time where we may feel like we're coming up against challenges or resistance to do something, to move forward. So this coming week, I think especially like the weekend before, so this coming Saturday and Sunday, and then Monday the 27th, I think that it would be interesting to notice if you're having any kind of resistance or any kind of roadblocks, or I don't know, maybe you feel like you're just like ready to go. I would notice what's happening on Monday, because when we have that first quarter moon in Scorpio on the 27th on Monday, moon in Scorpio is a fixed water sign, so Scorpio energy really wants to go down and deep and very meaningful. So those kinds of things, those kinds of actions are very important, especially the weekend through Monday. Hi, B-Joy. Hi, Pursuits. Hi, Silver Hair. Nice to have you here. The other thing that's happening this week is Venus will square Neptune. And so Venus is the planet of relationships, love, beauty, sensuality, right? Neptune is the planet that tends to dissolve boundaries or to create altered states of consciousness. It's associated with things being ambiguous or unknown. That can be pleasant, where we can have inspiration and insight and divination even, or it can be a little bit challenging in confusion and delusion even. And so with Venus square Neptune, so what does that mean like this week? So with Venus square Neptune, I find that tends to look like where we can be either have rose-colored glasses or have like a foggy understanding of what is actually happening. So especially in relationships, because Venus is relationships, and not just romantic, but relationships of all kinds. So intimate, romantic, platonic, even business relationships, I would put in that camp as well. So with Venus-Neptune, there is this feeling where relationship things are a little bit ambiguous, maybe unclear, or where maybe you think that something is going one way, but then it turns out it's going another way. So I think the way to work with Venus-Neptune is to stay very grounded in your own energy first, to do a check-in with yourself first. So I think this is especially helpful for people that have this natally as well as just this week too. So like really look at what the actual facts are. It's good to notice what your gut reaction is, but always source check that. So always check your gut reaction and your intuition with what is actually in front of you. And I think that's super important whenever we're working with Neptune, because Neptune tends to show where a person wants, they see what they want to see versus what actually is. And people that have Venus-Neptune in their birth chart, they can get into relationships that, or they can tend to get into relationships where things are not really what they thought that they were, and or they can get like carried away with the fantasy of what a person's potential is versus what that person actually is like. So again, the way to really work with that this week is to check in with your gut, your intuition, and then always look at like, okay, what is actually happening? Have a conversation with someone to check it if that's appropriate, to check the facts, so to speak. Hi, Reiki Room. Is that you, Mel, or someone else? Hi, Self. Hi, Court. Hi, Mona. Hi, Ms. Okay, so we talked about first quarter moon in Scorpio. We talked about Venus square Neptune. The other thing that's happening this week is Sun square Uranus. So Sun square Uranus. Sun is a symbol of the ego, your will, your identity, that part of you that is like, I am going to do this. It's about me. So that sense of healthy ego. Uranus is about unexpected change, and it also has an element of disruption to it. So when we have Sun-Uranus, that typically shows where a person wants to dramatically change something in order to bring more freedom to themselves. Now, this can be experienced within yourself. It can be something that you experience outside of yourself as well. So I would notice like what you're already feeling. Like, do you already feel like there are things that are constraining you or tying you down? I talked last week about how we're moving from a very different energy with the sun previously being in Cancer to an opposite Saturn, which has like more of an adulting responsibility kind of theme to it, like more a heavier energy, for lack of a better term, versus now with the sun in the sign of Leo, square Uranus, there's more of a sense of freedom and wanting to break free from that which was constricting or binding in some way. And so so this week, it's kind of an interesting, and I'll have information on the tips for you, but I want us to be really aware of what is actually happening this week. Because with Venus square to Neptune, we may not be seeing things exactly as they are. We may have kind of like a foggy or disillusioned or just simply not very clear picture of what is actually happening. And with the sun square Uranus, this shows when a person wants to just totally radically change everything because their freedom, their independence is very important. And so, I look at what that looks like for you. I think it's going to be very different for a person who is already feeling like a lot of responsibility. So if you already feel like you have a lot on your plate and you're stressed, and I think to a certain extent we all may feel like that right now. Notice I think what it is this week that you can do in order to take the top off in a measured way, if that makes sense. So where can you implement change and change in a way that feels more freeing to you, so that it is allowing this energy into your life versus it happening outside of you, or versus it being something that kind of that becomes something stressful. Again, Uranus is a symbol of disruption. That's the unexpected change element. And so disruption, change, we can like it, we can not like it. It's really based on how comfortable you are with the change that's happening. But again, I want us to be more measured because of Venus-Neptune, and then because of some aspects that Mercury is making that I will talk about next after I take a sip of water. Let's see. Hi, Ethel. Hi, Leo. Ethel says, I do change, like sensing everything to hell and starting over again. I think you mean you do feel like changing and like everything goes to hell and start all over again. Yeah, so that feeling that you're describing, like fuck it, like I need to just start all over, that is very Sun-Uranus energy. And I think that there is a reason that you're feeling that way, and I would encourage you to tap into that. And again, because the thing with Sun-Uranus is, especially since it's a square, it can show where there's an all or nothing mentality, and that is not always helpful. I think that when we have Sun-Uranus, it is important to make a change. It is important to to do something that feels enlivening to your essence, your energy, something that brings you joy. This is all sun energy. And when you do too much change too fast, it can actually put that fire out because you don't have the safety and security that you need in order to take care of yourself. So just, something to think about. Ethel, that's okay. I figured out what you meant. Okay, cool. Hi, Fine Joy. Hi, Betsy. Betsy says, very helpful. Makes a lot of sense for me at 37 weeks pregnant. Congratulations. Can't wait to have a little Leo baby. Aw, congratulations. That's so exciting. Let's see. Hi, Rob. Hi, Cherie. Okay, so let's talk about Mercury because Mercury is making several aspects this week. And the way that I'm thinking about this, so keep in mind is that we're in the waxing phase of the moon, so we're in a forward moving energy. And we have the first quarter, which is like where there's a little tension on Monday, the 27th. And then the whole remainder of the week, you're just kind of like flowing. So I feel like Monday is if there is like a lot of tension, it's on Monday. And then things are able to flow more easily. So, okay, so Mercury is going to square Mars. It's going to oppose Jupiter and Saturn. And Pluto, really. And it's going to trine Neptune. So I realize that's a lot of things. Let's break it down. If you watched my previous few videos and if you took my Mercury retrograde class, you remember that I talked about Mercury square Mars being a big theme over these last few months, so like June and July, because Mercury was going over the period, over the section of the zodiac where it was kind of going back and forth between a square to Mars. So we've experienced this energy recently, especially in the Mercury retrograde cycle that was late June, early July. So Mercury is thought, communication, right? It's your mind, your ability to think in a linear way, but also in a symbolic way. So Mercury is also associated with language, with symbol, and with divination as well. So it's both parts of the mind, the logical, analytical, and the more spatial. So when Mercury is making a square to Mars, Mars is about action, it's about assertiveness, it's about fighting for something. This can show agitation, it can show frustration, it can also show excellent argumentation, debate, and just like a desire to really speak about what it is that is very important to you with passion. Now, this being a square, square is more tense kind of energy. So square simply means it's something that we cannot avoid, that is pushed forward to consciousness. So this aspect more so than like a trine. A trine, we can usually kind of put that in the background and not worry about it too much. I don't know why that is. I find that really interesting and kind of funny that the easy things we're like, I don't have to deal with that. I can just, not be aware of that, but the more difficult things are pushed forward. So anyways, so I think this week our words are important. I think that our words and the passion and the enthusiasm can be very helpful. And I think that it's important this week to find a channel and to find a way to express yourself that honors what it is that you are fighting for. And we're all going to do that in different ways, some of us more privately, some of us more publicly, but it is important to have that place for yourself to express or to communicate. And this can be through writing, this can be through, I'm even just thinking of like doing vocal exercises. That might be something that would be a good channel for this as well. I would caution you to choose your words wisely and to be mindful of your words, because when we have Mercury, Mars, thoughts and words they can be more rash. And there's a potential for saying something like the foot in the mouth syndrome, or saying something that you mentioned in the moment, but maybe you didn't want to express it. Okay. Let's see, what else do I want to say about this? Okay, so Mercury is also opposing Jupiter and Saturn. And so this, to me, it adds a grand scale to what it is that we want to say. There's a bigness, Jupiter and Saturn, like a seriousness. The other part of this, too, is that Mercury is in this conversation with Neptune. So Mercury is trine Neptune. And so Mercury trine Neptune is the ability to tap in to inspiration and insight, and to divinate. Like, it's a classic divination symbol, because Mercury in traditional astrology is divination, and Neptune in modern astrology is divination. So I think this is like a really cool, talking about trines as something that is a resource, an excellent way to maybe channel what it is that you're thinking, or what it is that you want to say, through doing some type of meditative kind of work. Let's see. Hi, Oside. Hi, Nat. Hi, Tammy. Good to have you here. Hi, Experience and New. Okay, so I have some tips for you, and then let's wrap it up, because like this week there's a lot happening, right? And then let me know, as always, if you have a question, and I will do my best to answer it, and then we'll pull a tarot card for everyone as well. Side note, Jupiter will sextile Neptune this week. I'm not really going into that, because that is a longer term transit, and a sextile is a more soft aspect. I'm sure there are other astrologers that feel this is very important, and so if you want to Google that, definitely Google Jupiter sextile Neptune. But it is a slower moving aspect, and something that I do not see as necessarily being a super important influence for you this week. So, disclosure. My goal is always to share all of the information with you, and then to share what I think is important. So that way, at least you know everything that's going on as much as possible. Okay, so tip number 1 this week is to choose your words wisely. So I think that that's really important, because we have like a few different pieces that could lead to misunderstandings, or to saying things that like like where things come off not in the way that you thought, or you said something with an understanding that, like, with a misunderstanding of the information. And so I'm saying that because we have Venus square Neptune. So that is where relationship issues are maybe a little bit foggy. I would definitely, again, double check things. So choose your words wisely, because you may not have all of the facts. And tip number 2 is to pick your battles this week. I think that's important, because Mercury is square Mars. And so you may feel like really you want to say the things that you want to say. And I would just ask that you use discernment. Do you really need to say this right now? Maybe give yourself some time, some space in between when you have a thought or an idea, whether that, is giving yourself 2 breaths or 2 days, whatever that may be. So that's tip number 2, is to pick your battles. Tip number 3 is to stay realistic this week. And so this, I'm really thinking about Venus-Neptune with this, because I think Venus-Neptune, even though people love Neptune and people love Venus, when they come together, they, especially in a square, I think they can get us into trouble sometimes, because we see what we want to see versus what actually is. Now, that being said, this aspect can be used for very deep emotional connection, and getting messages from your spiritual guidance team, or doing divination work or creative work. It can be very useful for working with what I'll call the ethereal realm, with the unseen. Venus-Neptune is not super useful for practical, everyday kind of, like, it's not a material world kind of aspect. I hope that makes sense. Okay, let's pull a tarot card. And, oh yeah, I did want to say, if you have a question, now is a great time to leave a question and I will answer it as best I can, whether you're listening live or you're watching the recording. Okay, so I'll shuffle. So this can be, it's up to you. It can be a general reading for the week, or if you have a specific question or issue that you would like answered. Okay. Okay. Oh, I forgot to mention, so this is a deck that is new to me that I'm working with. So it's a little bit different than what I normally use. So this is the Two of Wands, or the Two of Scepters. So I'll show you. So it's very simple, right? We have, this is in this deck. So this is the Church of Lights deck. So we have the two, we have the wands, they call it the scepters in this deck. And this card is ruled, it's associated by the sun in Aries. And so I'm going to read to you what it says here. So if you have associations already with the Two of Wands, like maybe in the Rider-Waite deck, I encourage you to connect with that. But for my purposes today, we're thinking about two. Two in numerology is union, makes me think of Venus, of course. It's also polarity and decisions. The wands or the scepters is associated with fire and passion. In this deck, it is associated with business dealings. So like business opportunities and business issues. This card being a symbol of the sun in Aries, the sun in Aries is exalted, it's a very happy sun, it's able to very freely express in a dynamic way. So I think, oh Cherie, you're a sun in Aries. Oh, perfect. Maybe this is extra important for you. So I would take this card just without even reading anything in here. I would take this as encouragement to move forward, and encouragement, especially around business issues, like that there are resources for you, and maybe there's a decision that needs to be made. Okay. So again, this deck is new to me, and the symbolism is different than the Rider-Waite, and so that's why I'm reading it here. So, bum, bum, bum. Okay, so the twos. In their most common divinatory significance, the twos relate to those things as applied to the department of life indicated by the suit. So in this case, the wands, which is about fire and passion and business dealings. In their higher application, they resonate with the particular zodiac sign, the movable signs, which is the cardinal signs, the pioneer, which in this case is Aries, so like that pioneer kind of energy. This card in particular is a symbol of business depending on scientific methods. Its inner interpretation is exaltation. So I think that's really interesting, scientific methods. So I'm really thinking of this. I'm thinking of this combo that we have of Venus-Neptune, which is like where things are kind of ambiguous, and then the Sun square Uranus, where there's like a desire to do, a desire to move forward, a desire to find freedom. This card to me seems like an encouragement to do that in a measured way. So I hope you found this helpful. If you did, leave me a comment and let me know. If you are interested in working with me more, I do offer astrology readings, astrology consultations. You can find out more about that and working with me on my website, Shauna McGrath Astrology. And I'm just wishing you a nice weekend, a nice week, wishing you lots of comfort and safety and whatever it is that you need to receive this week. Talk to you soon.